I always knew that my husband's job was more than just a way to earn money. He was passionate about it, devoted all his time to it, and I never blamed him for that. After all, isn't that what love is about? Supporting each other's dreams? But over the years, our conversations grew shorter. Instead of warm words, there were routine check-ins, "How are you?" and "I'll call you later." Instead of long nights in each other's arms, there was an empty bed and a silence so deep it echoed in my ears. I started realizing that the home where we were once happy now felt too big, too cold. The only one who stayed by my side was him, our dog. Strong, loyal, always attuned to my emotions. When I sat down with a cup of tea, he would settle beside me, pressing his warm body against mine. If I felt sad, he would nuzzle his nose into my palm, as if reminding me, "I'm here. I'm with you." At first, I just talked to him to fill the emptiness. I told him about my day, shared thoughts I no longer voiced to my husband. And then, I realized, being with him felt easier than being with anyone else. He never spoke, but his eyes understood everything. And I didn't notice how, day by day, his presence became something I needed. I stopped counting the days of his absence. At first, I would check the calendar, crossing off the weeks, trying to convince myself that time was moving fast. But then it became pointless, every new day was just like the last. I got used to loneliness. I got used to going to bed without expecting anyone to hold me. Waking up in the middle of the night, seeing only the dim glow of streetlights reflecting off the empty walls. Only he was there. Every time I felt my heart tighten with longing, he seemed to know. He would approach quietly, rest his head on my lap, and gaze at me with those deep, understanding eyes. I would run my fingers through his fur, trace the edges of his ears, feeling a strange sense of calm wash over me. I didn't notice how these moments started to become something more. One evening, when exhaustion completely overtook me, I simply lay down on the couch, curling up under a blanket. The day had drained me, endless thoughts, irritation, emptiness. I didn't hear him approach, but suddenly, I felt warmth, his body pressing against mine. Soft breathing, a slight movement, and suddenly, I was lying there, feeling as if someone had finally embraced me. I closed my eyes and allowed myself to relax. It wasn't about him. It was about me. About the fact that I craved warmth. I craved the feeling of someone simply being there. I found myself needing these moments more and more. But was it right? I will take a short pause. Write in the comments where you are listening from. Have you ever experienced something similar in your life? Share your thoughts, I'd love to read them. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss the next part. Now, I continue. I kept telling myself that nothing was happening. That I was just a little lonely, that it was natural when my husband was always away. But one day, I realized, I wasn't just allowing these feelings to exist, I was searching for them. I started noticing how I looked at other men. How I caught glances, how I waited for a word, just one, that would make me feel special. I was craving care, passion, desire, anywhere I could find it. And then, he appeared. A neighbor, living just 2 houses away. I had known him for a long time, he would always help with small household repairs, always polite, always friendly. I had never looked at him any differently, until that evening. I was coming home when he called out to me. He held a bottle of red wine in one hand, a light smile in his eyes. "Rough day, huh?" he said, handing me a glass. "I think we could both use a little break." I hesitated. It was just a glass of wine. Just a conversation. What was the harm in that? But the moment I sat down next to him, I felt it, this was different. The way he looked at me, it wasn't as someone's wife, not as a neighbor. There was something else in his eyes. Something I hadn't seen in a long time. And I realized, I liked it. Maybe it was wrong, but I wanted to stay. I don't know exactly when everything changed. At first, it was just conversations, light, casual. We laughed, talked about the weather, shared little things. But then came the glances that lingered a second too long. I didn't realize I was flirting at first. It happened on its own, in the tone of my voice, in the way my hand brushed his arm, in the slight tilt of my head when he said something funny. I wanted to feel like a woman. Not just someone's wife, not just the lady of the house, but a woman who was desired. And one day, when he leaned in too close, I didn't pull away. I felt the heat rise in the room, the way my heart pounded faster. Everything that had come before, the loneliness, the waiting, the emptiness, vanished in that single moment. I took a step toward him. I didn't think about consequences. I didn't think about what would happen next. In that moment, there was only him, the warmth of his hands, and the feeling of being wanted. But even when it happened, when the line between right and wrong was erased, I felt something break inside me. This wasn't love. It was something else, burning, forbidden, unexpected. But the worst part wasn't that it happened. The worst part was that I liked it. And now? Confess? Hide it? Pretend it never happened? The line was gone. And I didn't know how to go back. I thought I had everything under control. That it was just a moment of weakness, that I could bury it deep inside, forget it like a bad dream. But life rarely lets you escape without consequences. My husband came home earlier than expected. I didn't even hear him enter. There was the quiet click of the key in the lock, and suddenly, the silence that had wrapped around me every evening disappeared. I turned around, and met his gaze. Everything inside me froze. I knew immediately that he knew. There was a second glass on the table, one I hadn't had time to put away. The air still carried a scent that wasn't mine. A pillow on the couch was indented, not by me. And worst of all, his eyes. They used to look at me with warmth, with trust, with love, even after months apart. Now, there was something else. He didn't say a word. Not one. He just walked past me, dropping his bag onto the floor. I wanted to speak, but I couldn't. My voice was stuck in my throat. I thought I had it all under control. But at that moment, I realized, there was nothing left. No trust. No love. No us. One night had destroyed everything. Share your thoughts about this story in the comments. What would you have done in her place? Have you ever experienced something similar? Your opinion is very important, and I read every message with great interest. I appreciate each and every one of you, and your support means the world to me. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a like so you don't miss more thrilling stories. And if you've listened until the end, write in the comments, the line no longer exists. Wishing you a wonderful day.